Welcome back to our show, the Childish Grownup Show. It's your favorite time of week to get your nostalgic fix through films. For those that have been here, welcome back. For those that are new, welcome. For those that are new, here's how the show is laid out. It's laid out like this, similar to your movie theater experience as a teenager. You will go in, get popcorn, play video games, holler at girls or boys, hang out, chill for a little bit. And before you know it, you'll get into the theater, look at the previews, and get to your feature presentation. That is how we do our show. We like to touch on a few things, talk about a few things, have a little fun before we get into our featured presentation, the movie that you see in this title. So, glad to be here. Ash Bash, Mia G. How you ladies doing in our Mother May I month?
I'm feeling good. Feeling pretty good. A little tired today, but had a house guest. Yours truly, Mo, was in town, so we got to kick it, hang out. But well worth it. So
Oh, sibling love. I'm doing good though. I too am tired because me and my cousins and my sisters celebrated Cinco de Mayo a little hard, but
Uh-oh.
um but I'm good and I'm recovering, you know. But it was well worth it. A
Yeah.
time we had. But no, I'm good. Just getting ready for all of the many things I have coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Mm, okay. Doing well as well. Doing well as well. As Ash said, I was in town and we got to hang out. And the jet lag is real. It's crazy. It really is real. But this is probably the first time fully that I was on a plane and I wasn't like concerned. You know what I mean? Like I'm always like slightly concerned, but I'm playing it cool. But this was the first time I was like not like taking off because normally it's just to take off and to land. You know what I mean? But especially the takeoff though. And so I was actually cool, um, and that really helped a lot. So it was a good flight, good trip. Had a wonderful time. As I'm sure we'll get into a little bit of that, but yeah, and that is just a little check in here. But before we get too far in the show, somebody else checks in with us. We call y'all the Stoop Kids. If y'all don't know that reference, I'm gonna give it to y'all here. But after that, y'all gonna have to do your Googles, do the knowledge. Uh, so Stoop Kid is a character from Hey Arnold. So he never left the stoop until finally he left the stoop. So we are all the Stoop Kids. We like to be homebodies, but every here and there we do things like this pod to leave the stoop. So one of the Stoop kids, a faithful member to this Childish Grown Up Club, Mama C, wrote in on our last episode, Riding in Cars with the Boys. She wrote, "This is one of my favorite movies. In my day, the girls who the I think she okay, so the girls who was riding in cars with boys got pregnant uh, because the boys were older. I had two close friends who had a shotgun wedding due to being pregnant. I was the Tina in the group. Smiley face. Plus, my boyfriend was my age, and his brother drove us around. Oh man, I gotta see y'all reaction because I got so much to say there. Well, Mia G, this being your mother,
Yeah,
what did you take from that?
we had that conversation.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it holds true to what I know of my mom and what I know of, how like who she grew up around and how things were when she was young. And she told me, yeah, like when you got pregnant, when you were young, back in those days, you got married, whether you liked it
Yeah.
or not,
Oh
most of
yes.
the time. And it was a lot like how it was in the film. They weren't necessarily celebrated. You didn't get the big baby shower. You had a shotgun wedding and you moved in with your husband or your husband's parents, their family, or he moved in with your family and y'all just made it work, until, you know.
Mm. So he starts another family down the street.
Yeah, my mom was the Tina of her group. She did have friends who got pregnant in high school, but she was a typical cheerleader who married the jock right out of high school, or
Mm.
and had a baby years later. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Okay. Ash.
Shout out to Mama C. It's dope. I love when there's like a personal connection to a
Mm-hmm.
movie. And shout out to Tina because she definitely stuck with her dude and they was living their life. Who knows? They could be being intimate as well, but they just, being smart.
Work
Still
on it.
got to go to college and do
yeah.
all the things. So shout out to Tina. Shout out to
Shout out
Mama C.
to
Yes.
I actually did not put that together until she said it, like riding in car with boys. That didn't even register to me, like, oh, this is what that means. Like it did that. I didn't even, that's it. That is, it makes the title so much better now that I have that context. But it does go back into the things that I spoke on the last episode. Where I was like, this almost makes me wish, and I try not to always do this, but it does make me wonder if somebody did a remake in a black version. It,
oh
it, how interesting it could be and a little more nuanced, because this concept is a real concept. Like I definitely was in school and seeing girls riding in cars with boys. I saw people doing things, you know what I mean? And they were overage, you know what I mean? So shout out to Mama C for the insight. Like I did not pick that up. So that thank you. Like sometimes you need somebody to hold your hand and walk you to the fountain, you know what I'm saying? So I appreciate that, Mama C. And then also Ray P had left a comment on the post. She said, "Can't wait to check this out. This is one of my favorite movies." So, hey man, I didn't know, but I get if you didn't know, now you know. Well, so, oh man, look at me. Like I tried to told you.
yeah, because
I tried to told you.
the way you did our movie was really crazy. But we don't have to dwell. We won't dwell.
Whoa.
We won't
Okay.
dwell.
All right.
New week, new movie.
Okay.
You
Okay.
know,
Fair enough.
bygones and whatnot.
Okay. All right. Yeah, if y'all watching the YouTube. But all right, let's get into our childish grown up moment. Ash, Bash, throw the ball in your court first.
So I have a childish grown up memory, right? I was watching Love After Lockup. I don't know if y'all into that show or not, and it just I don't know, it got me thinking about like Yahoo Messenger. Do y'all remember those days where you had the chat rooms? And it just got me start thinking about me and my girl cousins. We were young and we made this profile. The email was Oceana Jackson. Where we got that name, no idea. We had to, upgrade the age to get in there, so we was just chatting with boys. And yeah, I remember that ASL, asking everybody the ASL, age, sex, and location.
Oh man, the ASL.
ASL gate. Again, this was so fun. We weren't supposed to be doing it. You could never do that nowadays,
No.
but like
No.
we were literally in there. I mean, we were chatting with dudes. We didn't even have a profile pic. And like dudes was still, just boys will be boys. And I think one probably asked us for a pic. We probably looked on Google to try to, get something that looked realistic.
Y'all the original catfish, huh?
Fully catfishing out there. But yeah, because, Love After Lockup Days, sometimes they was chatting through, that was a form of communication for the people there and the people outside. It just took me back to the Yahoo Messenger, man. The Yahoo Messenger chat was just so fire, dude.
Hey, listen.
Those
Oceana
days,
Jackson.
What was you gonna say,
Oceana.
Oceana. Nuts.
I don't know where we got that from, but
Jackson.
Definitely 2000s right there. That is
email, okay?
early 2000s. What was you gonna say to that? Mia, was you about to say something?
I was just saying those were the days, man.
Yeah,
Before
man.
things got weird.
Oh yeah. Now, as if that wasn't weird, right? Like I remember, rest in peace, Jamichael, man. I remember me and him. We started a chat room and it was Code Pimp. I think 05 or 09. I think Code Pimp 09. And because pimp was just like a popular word in 2000s. Like, I'm a pimp, you know. And we would get in there, you know, of course, we just hollering at chicks, getting, you know, just being ridiculous. And then after a while, we just start shaking it up and we just start saying, hey, hello, everybody. Everybody, hey, what's going on, Cold Pimp? Hey, Cold Pimp, what's up, Cold Pimp? F everybody in here. And then they like, F you, Cold Pimp. We hate you, Cold Pimp. They try to get us kicked out of, because we just was like, we knew nothing would ever happen. Like, this is Yahoo. So that's funny. And I definitely was on Black Planet. I think I got catfish looking back at it, because the voice, I remember, I actually talked to somebody on the phone. Like,
you wildin', bro.
I talked to somebody on the phone, and there was one profile picture. Like, the voice, I don't know. I don't think this was the same person. It could be, but well, yeah, I had to go through the inner web there to see what's up. So yeah, this good days.
Fun was that though? You knew, like you said, fun was that. These people were way older than us. Like, I didn't.
Yeah,
this was fun. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, it was different world, man.
Yeah.
I was trying to be riding in cars with girls. You know what I'm saying? Me and G, what is your childish grown up moment of this
So
week?
I don't really have a childish grown up moment, but I'm triggered by this conversation we just had. Because I was definitely catfished my my freshman year of college. Yes.
Ooh, oh no.
Somebody got me.
Oh.
I think it was, what was it? Was it the beginning phases of Facebook, or it was
I remember that early Facebook too.
MySpace? I don't remember what it was, but somebody catfished me and I was traumatized.
Dang.
So they look completely different.
Oh my, listen.
Oh.
Shout out to Ray P. I'm gonna use one of her lines, not to get too anecdotal, right? But we would talk on the phone and everything. And like his pictures, he's very handsome. Then this is when I was going to Florida A&M University. And it was about to be homecoming. And he said he was coming for homecoming. I'm like, okay, great. But then the bomb drops. And he's like, before I come, I have to tell you that those pictures aren't mine. I was like, excuse me? And then he sent me a picture of like his real self, and I was like,
He still come? Do you know if he really actually came to the
block, block, block. He did. He
okay.
did.
Nah, yeah.
But he was not attractive.
Now, it real quick, we move on. If he didn't look like his pictures, but he still looked like your type, would you have had a different reaction? Okay, I figure, yeah.
He lied.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's real weird. Especially if that's even worse. Is like you're actually a nice looking, but you're using a whole different nice looking person's picture. That's even crazier. Mm-hmm. Dang, that's
now you're a weirdo. You're
oh yeah. Dang. Well, I hope you recover from that trauma, Mig G. I know that's many moons ago for us, but all right. For me, it was really just this weekend. You know, like we alluded earlier, we was in town. We was in the old city of Nap, and we was hanging out and everything. And you know, you having a good time with family, and you're going to visit people and see things. But it has to come to an end at some point. And my childish grown up moment was I legit started to get in a mood, like how you do as a kid when you knew your cousins are about to leave from staying the night with you, or you knew you were about to leave. When you get the news, your mom's about to pick you up, and yeah, all right, hey baby, get your clothes ready. Your mom about to pick. You know how you immediately get them, or you know you're going home the next day. And you start get. I legit as a grown up was getting in. I was controlling it because I'm a grown up, but I was totally getting in the mood. Like I was like, bro, we got to fly out tomorrow, and I had to shake it off. Eventually, we was getting into our karaoke and stuff, but like I was getting in the mood because I really wasn't ready. You know what I'm saying? So that definitely spawned like so many memories of like not wanting to go, and then when our parents show up and they're talking to, you know, the aunties, the uncle, and they kind of keep stretching the conversation like, oh yeah, we get to hang out, we got 5 more minutes, 10 minutes, 15 more minutes, let's play another game, you know, like, so just hanging on that every thread of time with each other. So that I found myself getting in that mood, and it definitely took me back to like being a teenager, just forever wanting to, like, I want to live here because you love hanging out with your family so much and stuff like that. So that's my childish grown up moment.
Yeah, I can tell because there was a moment I looked over at you and I'm like, "You good?" He was like, "It's hard. It's hard."
Yeah, yeah, I
So
was
I
definitely,
knew what that was.
yeah, I was like, you know, so I recovered, but it was a rough one for a moment, but then I kind of shook it off. But but yeah, if y'all want to hit us up with y'all childish grown ups moments, y'all can hit us up childishgrownups3@gmail.com or hit us up on Instagram. Yes, yes, sir. Hit us up on Instagram. DM us there. We would love to hear that. You know, we're looking for playful laughter, something funny, kind of like America. Was it America's funny videos or whatever back in the day? Just make your submission. You know, send it in to the Childish Grown Up Show so we can read it and laugh with you. So, without further ado, Ash.
All right. Before I say this, no, seriously, y'all, send in your childish grown up moments. Like, I would love to hear it on air. Like, I wouldn't go to the comments. I would like, I want to hear if y'all out there being childish. So, really, like, somebody please send in a childish grown up moment.
Seriously, seriously.
But yeah, so it's time for the Flash with Ash. So I got a little bit of trivia for y'all today. You know, I took it back. So this first one here is from Hey Arnold. Arnold's last name was hinted at throughout the series, but never revealed until the Jungle movie. So what is Arnold's last name?
I know this one.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Short man.
It is.
What?
I used to think his grandpa would call him that, and I thought he was just calling him that because he was short. And I think I like Ash was saying, I think I realized it's like, no, that's his last name. I don't remember when I seen this, but I was like, Arnold Shortman. Nobody ever called him that, but we don't really know a lot of their last names, to be honest. Maybe with the exception like Helga.
Helga Pataki.
And that's because of the beepers, you know.
Okay. All right, bro. I see you.
You know?
All right. This next one is from Rugrats. What does Stu Pickles do for a living? He's a painter. He's an inventor. He's a plumber. He owns Stu's Pickle Factory.
He's an inventor.
He's an inventor.
Is that your final answer?
Absolutely.
That is correct. All right. 2 for 2 out here.
He was a broke boy.
Still used to be in the lab though.
He had some stuff though, but he was definitely a broke boy. Like
looking up.
Man, what the mom do? What did
Not too much. Not too much on Stu because you're starting to sound like Drew.
Okay. All right. Let me fall back a little bit. I don't want to sound like Drew now because I ain't no Drew fan at all. Let me fall back. I better go back here.
He he had his big hit with the Reptar Mobile, but he but for a while there, yeah, he was a struggling inventor, but he got there eventually.
We could have had an acrimony story on hand, huh? Now, what was the mom? Dee Dee.
I looked up. Said she was a school teacher.
The house was pretty. I mean, I guess we're looking at the '90s, so they could stretch that out there. You know, a teacher. You know, all right, fair enough.
They probably had some of Grandpa's Social Security too coming in.
Oh right, Grandpa did stay there. Look at me. Yeah, I think I'm rolling with that. He probably got a couple loans from Drew. You know, on the quiet, and you know that creates disruption in that brother relationship or whatever. So, yeah.
Maybe I can go 3 for 3. This is from Doug.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I took it back. What was the name of the mayor of Bluffington? Bobby Buster, Bob Johnson, Bob White, or Bob Bluffer?
Say them again, please.
The mayor's name was Bobby Buster, Bob Johnson, Bob White, or Bob Bluffer?
I'm going Bob Bluffer. And I still ain't really sure 100% on that.
I'm just going to, for the sake of I don't really know, have to.
What was that first one again? I'm sorry.
Uh, the first one was Bobby Buster.
I'm gonna no, it couldn't have been. Maybe was it Bob White? Was that one of them?
Yeah, that's one of them.
I'm gonna just say that because I don't know, and I don't know.
Yeah, I remember what he looked like. Put it in the
Is
chat
he?
for you.
I about to say, is he orange?
It looks like somebody we made. So,
You stupid. I gotta
I
go.
remember him.
I gotta go Bluffer because he definitely got that bluff look to him.
I'm gonna stick with White, but
Okay.
he could go any kind of way, honestly.
Mia is correct. It's Bob
Eh,
White.
oh, look at
That
that!
man's name is Bob White.
A shot from half court, nailed it.
Okay. 2 for 3 for bro.
I
Three
gotta get
for
that
three.
screenshot.
He a
I
G.
gotta get that screenshot. All right.
So that is all for the Flash for Ash, y'all.
Good
All right, that
job.
was fun, man. I love it. Yeah, you really when we just did that little small talk, especially Rugrats. I don't know how to put this into TGIF, but somehow I want to talk about Rugrats. I just don't know in what capacity. Not a list, but like a conversation. I just don't know
Right.
how to bottle it up, but I think
Yeah.
we all like refresh ourselves on a couple of the characters and kind of theories and stuff. But I don't know. I definitely want to do something like that. But yeah, shout out to you for the segment, Ash. All right. Mia G, you know what time it is. Take us back one time for the one time.
Okay. We are covering today the 1995 film Losing Isaiah. Synopsis: the biological and adoptive mothers of a young boy are involved in a bitter, controversial custody battle. And that is a huge understatement. Um, we have a cast full of future stars and stars of the time. Halle Berry as Kyla Richards, the Jessica Lange, shout out to all of my American Horror Story girlies out there, as Margaret Lewin, David Strathern as Charles Lewin, Cuba Gooding Jr. as Eddie Hughes, Daisy Egan as Hannah Lewin, Mark John Jeffries as Isaiah, Samuel L. Jackson as Kadar Lewis, Joey Lee, sister of the Spike Lee, as Marie, and Regina Taylor as Gussie. This film was released theatrically March 17th, 1995. And before we get started, I want to do something that I didn't do last week that I meant to do, but I want to give a quick disclaimer that this film discussion could be triggering. It does cover topics of substance abuse and mild child abuse. So viewer discretion, listener discretion is advised.
Said it so wonderfully. Thank you for saying that because that is definitely necessary. All right. So y'all both have seen this film before. So y'all both obviously can do a rewind. So Ash. Oh, and there obviously there's no toys or
No.
games that came out, but you can buy your little black baby and call it Isaiah if you want to. Those are definitely available. All right. Ash. Rewind. Take us back to how you remember this movie around the time you first started watching this a few times, and then how did it, and then fast forward and bring us to today's experience watching Losing Isaiah.
So it was one of two things that might have happened because I was like, as I was watching it this time, I'm like, dang, I feel like I've seen it, but it was so long ago. And I don't feel like this was a film that I was watching like multiple times. So it was almost like a new watch to me because it's been so long. And like I said, Halle plays in a lot of movies with kids, whether she's losing them or or trying to get them back. Like I could be having a Mandela effect, like bro. But cause I'm
Yeah.
like I know I've seen this, but then I'm like I've seen so many movies with her and kids and some shaky things happening. So, um, but I will say I feel like I remember liking it more back then. Like I felt like it was better than this watch. Just from my vague memory of seeing it, like I said, it was so long ago. I can't even tell you when I saw it last, but it wasn't as enjoyable as I thought I remembered it being.
Mm.
Uh, it definitely was a lot going on,
Well,
but yeah, that's what I remember. That's my rewind on that.
all right. Mia G.
Oh man, so of course I didn't see it in theaters. I was much too young. I remember seeing it just growing up again because I was just really into films and I always I like all genres. I'm a horror girly, I'm a romance girl, but I love a good tearjerker, a good drama, especially something that deals with like controversial topics. And I remember I did love this movie, but I hadn't watched it in a really long time, and I feel like I didn't remember how hard of a watch it is. Not because I don't think it's a good movie or because it's just the subject matter is really, really hard. Um, and some of the scenes were really, really hard to watch and to hear and to get through. There were some moments where I literally was just broke down crying because I'm like, oh my God, this
I,
is crazy.
I think if I
Uh,
wonder if we have the same moment.
I have, I think, two, I might have two or three of those in this film. And I don't think that it was less enjoyable. I don't know if this movie is something you could say is like an enjoyable movie
Mm-hmm.
necessarily. It it's supposed to stir the emotions and it does. I just don't know if my this is the kind of movie that kind of makes me question like my biases and what I think is right and wrong.
Yeah, I like the fact that it does that. Um, so there's no rewind for me. Only press play. So in this experience watching that, I didn't really have any anticipation. I think when I seen the trailer of it, just to like find a Mother May I film that I feel would be a great conversational piece. Just seeing the concept of it, I said, okay, this will be a very interesting conversation, but didn't know the depths of the movie. Upon watching the movie, um, there are some tough moments. There's a particular tough moment that it never shook. I never changed my mind. All the work and everything, the points that are being made, I never changed my mind from one particular scene. And
Mhm.
we're gonna get into it that scene because I think that's a great backdrop. So for me, was it enjoyable? It was an enjoyable watch. There was in a later segment, I'll talk about some things that they didn't get right that really could have made this film be even deeper of a conversational piece. So, um, yeah. First question, you knew it was coming. Even one of the characters that kind of broke the fourth wall kind of mentioned this. Is this a white savior movie?
I don't think so.
Hmm. Ash, what you think?
I knew that question was coming. Um, Trial talked about quite a few things. I want to say no because of like how she ended up with him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no.
I'm gonna say the reason why I say no is because of how the whole idea of the white savior is called into question in the movie. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
intentionally not a white savior movie because they're questioning that whole idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's more complex. It's
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
This is one of those. This is I agree. I don't think so either. Like I said, I think it was a nurse or doctor when Margaret was talking about adopting. Isaiah. She had said, "What do you think it's going to look like? You adopting a black crack baby?" Um, so they did a good job in that sense of breaking the fourth wall with that. So I agree. It was way more complex than a white savior movie. And even the emotion and expression that they had for Isaiah, I think showcases something a little different. It wasn't about the fact that we're white. We could open a certain door for Isaiah. It had nothing to do with that. You know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
but we'll talk a little bit more. We'll dive a little deeper here. So my next question: how well do y'all think they handled the racial affairs in this film? Because that obviously a big, even the controversial cover. I got a couple of covers for this, as far as like movie poster, DVD cover, whatever. You could tell like it jumps out at you right away. I would be curious if our big cousins, Culture Garden, if they have this as a classic or not, movie poster Hall of Fame. So,
Mm.
but even the even the even the jokes you use. Now, what do y'all think? How do y'all think they handled the racial affairs in this film?
You can go first.
Um, I think they handled them as well as you could have expected for 1995. I think, especially during the courtroom scene, even from the beginning, when it was another social worker who was talking to Margaret about it. I think from the beginning they make sure that it's not like a issue where we're ignoring race and that it is an issue and that there are, you know, difficulties here. And with the courtroom scene, I think that they made a lot of interesting points about it. I think it was handled realistically. I didn't want them to kind of tap dance around the issue, and I don't think they did. So I think they handled it as well as I would have expected them to, better than some more recent films.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great point, man. Definitely better than some recent films. What about you, Ash? How do you think they handled the racial affairs?
I think it was pretty good. Like I said, that trial, that courtroom scene. Once we get to that, that's the bulk of it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't think it was sugar coated. It was
Mm-hmm.
real questions on both ends. Like, I was like, wow, kind of had you, you got to see both sides of it. And Samuel, he was not going. And so even his character, his strong character, of course, and the way that he's like not dancing around it, like was amazing. Even talking to the father and, you know, I don't want to say too much, but it was good. It was so good. Yeah.
Uh, I think y'all are nailing it. I think they handled it pretty. They were pretty proactive for it to be a '95 film. Um, I would say it was a little bit heavy handed though.
You think?
I think so. Um, because it's got a little bit of that. It's got a little flavor to it in some of the courtroom scenes. As sister, girl, brother, man, kind of got a little bit of that seasoning in there. They making valid points, but it's kind of flavored a little bit. Like even Margaret's, that family, their attorney. You know what I mean? It's like, of course she's aware of what the case is, but it became even more like kind of heavy. And I'm like, okay, it's a little heavy on the racial part of this. Uh, Makes for a good film, but it was a little heavy handed for me, you know. But I think they even gauged that. There's a scene where Kadar, the attorney on Kyla's side, and when they're outside, whatever, we'll get into a little bit more of those like court scenes, but there was a scene where it's just like when they questioned, like, bro, all we've talked about is race. What about love? And that's like, oh, you know what I mean? And we get that, and that heat that had him shook a little bit. So um my next question, and this is tying back to what I was alluding to before. Did Kyla deserve to have Isaiah?
Ash, you want to go?
I'll go. Deserve. It's tough because I don't think she was ready to have him at that time. I think it's her son. She would deserve him. You know, I would say yeah, but I don't think she was ready for him. I don't know how long she was clean. You know, they never really kind of expressed, you know, how long she's
Yes,
been
she said
clean.
it in court. It was 2
It was
years.
2 years,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, 2 years. Okay, well that's, I mean, that's
Yeah, that's a big
pretty
deal.
pretty good time. Yeah, I mean, again,
Yeah.
I don't know, you know, how that looks in that space, but even still, I don't know. But she was around those other kids a lot, and she, you know, was very like caring for them. You know, that boy, that was a dude from Love and Basketball, wasn't it? Remember the fro? As wasn't that him as a little boy?
I don't think so.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Right. that
No.
the kids got different looks. I'll pull up. You keep going.
Oh, but yeah. So say she's deserving of her son, but I don't know if it was premature or not. I'm still on the fence with that, to be honest.
Um, when you say deserve, I mean that's her child. Um,
Right. So that's why I
what do
was
you,
like,
I mean, how do we gauge whether or not a parent? I mean, it's very, very complicated because I look at Kyla a lot differently today than I did when I used to watch this film back in the day. She wasn't a bad person. She was a drug addict. So once she got clean, she was making every effort to do what she could to provide a decent life for Isaiah. I think she deserved him, yeah. But when you're looking at it juxtaposed against this affluent white family who's been taking care of him for 3 years, I mean two-ish years, and you see the life he had versus the life she can provide, it almost makes you feel like she should, no. But like the adoption professional said in the court case, that's not always the important thing. So that's a hard question to answer. I don't think I can give just a yes or no to did she deserve Isaiah.
Fair enough. For me, she didn't. And here's the issue with the film. To me, there's a scene in here, and this is the part that I think you might be talking about, Mia. When she leaves the baby in the box, Isaiah in the box, then proceeds, it turns out it's trash day the next day. The baby makes it into the compactor. This baby was almost flattened in the garbage compactor. They just in time got Isaiah out of there, not to mention that he actually had drugs in the system. Here's the issue for me with the film when it comes to that is for me to even root for her after she cleaned herself, because that is quite the feat for anybody to be sober and to be motivated and admit to their struggles with addiction and turn their life around, being motivated by their own child. That is nothing to sneeze at. That is amazing. But if see, for me, the film shouldn't have showed me that, because that never left my mind the whole time watching it.
I
I
think that's the point.
Exactly. So that's why I say for me it's easy, because we have children. I could not. We've been around children. I could not have imagined a kid almost being smashed, a innocent baby being smashed. Like I even got to the drug part, which okay, we get it. We falling hard. Everybody gets there somehow. I ain't got to that part. I'm just saying, this baby almost got smashed, like flattened, like a cardboard box. For me, I could not shake that imagery. I almost text y'all and said, sorry, y'all, because it was bruh, it's out the gate first 15 minutes, and I almost cried right on the spot. I like God, like this innocent little child is about to go in this way, and it hurt. And so for me, um, they did a good job of like pulling me back in. It wasn't like, oh, I never seen her as a fit mom, or like I couldn't see her getting there. They did a lot of character development, but for me, I don't think she deserved to have him. I do think she deserved to be in his life, though. I think all the work that she did and continued to do, she deserved to be in his life. Um, but I just don't think the Kyla, like that's one thing. So for me, if they didn't show that part, I think I would feel differently. But showing a baby almost get smashed like a cardboard box, you can never, there ain't no real redemption for me in the sense that you're your mother, fit in
But
that
I
sense.
think, not to cut you off,
Yeah.
but I know we're not going to get to it right away. But I wanted to say before it left my mind, that's kind of why I I love the way that this movie ends,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a moment where you see a more like, I think a part of it, her wanting Isaiah was selfish because it wasn't about Isaiah, it was about her. But I
Mm-hmm.
think she had a very selfless moment there at the end when she realized, like,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
It's bigger
I
than
gotta
Nino
do
Brown.
what's best for him. This isn't about me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you nailed it. That's exactly what I felt throughout this film. Another thing I wanted to acknowledge, it's not really a question, it's just something I want to bring to the forefront because this movie has another concept here. I'm pretty sure people are familiar with it, but I'm going to bring this up here. So, if you watch the whole movie of uh, Losing Isaiah it does not only have scripture from the book of Isaiah, but the whole concept is biblical, I believe. If you are a reader of the Bible, First Kings chapter 3, verse 16 to 27, I'm just going to read a few the scriptures. This is not like a biblical podcast, but this is one of the many passages, stories that it automatically takes you to Losing Isaiah. It made the film even better for me because it was like rich in how closely we could kind of look at it. So it says, now two prostitutes came to the king and stood before him, and one of them said, pardon me, my lord, the woman I live, the woman and I live in the same house, and I had a baby while she was there with me. The third day after my child was born, this woman has also had a baby. We were alone. There was no one in the house but the two of us. Now, if you read the whole thing, I'm gonna paraphrase it here, but if you read the whole thing, this whole thing is whose baby's who. One of the babies died, and then one of the women switched the babies and said, no, that was your baby that died. This is my baby. They go to, the king to get a ruling similar to Losing Isaiah. They go to the judge to get a ruling. And at the end of it, the king says, okay, let's split the baby in half. So that way it goes to each mother. And then one of the mothers said, no, I don't want that to happen. So just let her have it. And the king ruled that's the real mother, because a real mother would not let you split a baby in half just to get a point across that this is your son. That's the real mother. And so we get to the end of this film, and you see that kind of split act is kind of happening, but then it said, no, we can't do the split. We got to come together. So it's very interesting. If y'all interested, y'all got to read that chapter in Kings. Really interesting connection to me. When I seen that, I said, oh, that is fire. Anything
Going with that.
you say what?
I said I knew exactly where you were going with
Oh
that.
yeah, absolutely. I said, oh, this is that's heat right there. Is there anything just in the overall discussion that y'all want to, just some thoughts that you might have jotted that may not necessarily fit any of the other part of your notes? Okay. All right. So, Ash, what characters do you have listed for conversations?
I have Kyla, Eddie, Margaret, Charles, Hannah, and that's it on the
Okay.
characters.
Mia G.
Okay, so I have like each character and then some bullet points underneath. So I have Kyla in the beginning, Kyla after prison, and Kyla after court. I have Eddie, I have Margaret and family with the asterisks on Hannah and Charles. And then I just have the court scene and Kadar Lewis, Sam Jackson's character.
Okay. I have Kyla, Margaret, and Charles together. Hannah, Isaiah, Eddie, and Kyla, and Kadar Lewis. Um, so how about we just start with Isaiah? What again, so we got to open the scene with him as a baby, almost, like I spoke before, almost had me to tears because it was a really heavy moment. And we see that Isaiah, obviously, he was adopted by Margaret and Charles. And, we kind of see him as this cute little kid. He's in his home. Color is not really an issue in the home. It's nothing that is realized per se in in the moments of being there. We see that Isaiah has a sensitivity to sound. And I did have a question for y'all with Isaiah. Mm-hmm. When they were in the park and Kyla was like stalking, do y'all think he had any idea that was his mom? Because it was this interesting look.
I don't.
I don't think he knew because how could he? But there may have been a little instinctual something that made him not stranger danger her when she picked him up.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And just seeing someone of the same color as you too, like, I mean, he wasn't in school. He had a white nanny as well, so.
Mm-hmm.
That was a huge part. That was one point that I had about a later scene when Kyla puts him in school. It makes you think.
Mm-hmm.
What does it make you think?
Because yes, I don't disagree that Margaret and Charles were raising him beautifully. However, we have to think about the implications of raising a Black child colorblind, because the world is not colorblind. He went into that school, he had never even been around little kids, like Black people. Yeah. It was Black people all around him, and he was so confused. He didn't even know, what was going. He had never seen Black people, probably in passing, but it was like a huge shock to his little system. And you have to, which not to get, off on a tangent, but I follow some interracial adoptee families on social media. And one thing that is really important is having other Black people around your kid so that they know who they are, what's different. And I think that with the best intentions, they just weren't doing that because they didn't know it was something that they needed to do, which is a huge point of what it means to be white versus what it means to be Black. It's something that they wouldn't even think that they needed to do because they don't know what it means to be Black in this country. So they wouldn't think that they need to have him around other Black people because to them, he's just a kid. But in reality, he is a Black kid.
Mm-hmm. Was you about to say something else, Ash, as far as Isaiah goes?
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, Isaiah, even Isaiah's connection with Hannah, we can probably roll into Hannah a little bit, but like, interesting thing, like when we get to the end of the movie with Isaiah, like struggling, like it is, what a challenge, you know what I mean? Like it's a dramatic difference. Like you, as a kid, you can imagine, like, bro, what did I do wrong? Mm-hmm. Like you go from like a house, not even so much about how nice the house is, but the house had a lot of lighting, to like how dark Kyla's house was. It's like, bro, it's so freaking dark in here. Like, bro, like nightlight, please. Put some stars on the ceiling. This is the 90s. Like, bro, how's the kid gonna feel
Yeah.
comfortable? You got people out there rolling dice, drinking 40s. Like, come on. You know what I mean? Not this, obviously she's a new parent, so you learning
Right.
that in the midst of it. So I'm being funny, but still it's like when he gets snatched away and all that, it's like as a kid, it's like, bro, what did I do wrong? And then it's like you put him in school and he's acting out, he's going crazy. You try to take him out for a burger, try to get him a frosty, and it's like, bro, it's not all good. Like this ice cream and a burger is not. He knocking over, knocking over seats and just doing the most. And it, that's a given, but it's just an interesting thing. I got a theory here. This Isaiah grew up and changed his name to O, and then and y'all go back to our old review. That if y'all want to see what happened to Isaiah, Isaiah definitely lost it when he changed his name to Odin. Is that what his name was?
Odin, yes.
Odin. Yeah, we see his reaction. He was in all white school. Hey, you see how that connection works. All right. So y'all got anything? Y'all had some stuff with Hannah. Come on, that theory works though a little bit, right? It kind of work a little bit.
Hope not.
Okay, fine. All right.
Turn out too hot for O. But yes, I did have some things with Hannah. First off, out the gate with her being on the phone, saying her mom is being a jerk. White people shit. I'm sorry. I gotta call it what it is. Ain't no way.
Yeah.
That phone would have been. Anyways, so
Man.
that was nuts out the gate, but a typical response. I didn't know. I didn't feel like she had like a deep connection with Margaret at first because I was like, it just seemed like she was always kind of giving her attitude. So that moment where she was like, her mom didn't get to see her perform at the school and how she was really shooken up about it, I was kind of shocked at that reaction just because, like I said, I didn't gauge that relationship or that connection in that way. But yeah, that's kind of the main thing I wanted to point out, just kind of how she was interacting with Margaret, and then that scene of her being upset that she didn't get to see her perform. But she seemed like she liked Isaiah as well. She was on the fence a little bit though.
Yeah,
Of
yeah,
course,
yeah.
she was on the fence, but then as it started going on, she seemed like she was being more connected to him. They was kissing him and all that, and then that bathroom scene, and she was like, "What's the difference in our hands?" So I peeped that scene, and kids are so innocent.
I
He was like,
know.
"Mine is smaller." So cute,
I
man.
know, man.
I know there was a time, just a sidebar, Anthony, when he was younger, like it was like his friends were peach, and then we're
Yeah.
brown,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So I was
exactly.
like, it just was so cute, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's
um,
all I really had about him. I didn't have too much. That was it.
mm. You got anything to speak about Hannah, Mia?
I have the same thing written down. Hannah comes out the gate as a disrespectful teenager, but
Mm-hmm.
in that one way that we don't play.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because girl, who are you talking to? Who you talking
Right. You
to?
talking to somebody
But I
behind me?
but I will say I didn't take it as like a disconnect. I just looked at her as like a teenager
Yeah.
because I have teenagers around, but and they can just be. But I did think her reaction to Isaiah at first, I think it was pretty normal because as a teenager who's been an only child for probably 14 years, 14, 15 years, she probably wasn't like, she was like, okay, a baby, but oh, I don't know too much about this. He's crying. Okay, take him. But then over time, they built the connection. But there's also that jealousy because he's a baby, and not only is he a baby, he's got support needs.
Mm-hmm.
He was born addicted to drugs, so he
Mm-hmm.
had his little quirks about him.
Mm-hmm.
which other things that pissed me off about Margaret and the way that she handled it, I think there were some things that she could have done better. But we learn as parents, of
Oh yeah,
course. There are
absolutely.
things that like taking Isaiah to her recital when he ain't gonna sit here quietly. Like even me, I have a child with autism, and I don't take him to my daughter's recitals because I know that he can't sit quietly. I always have to get a sitter for him. So
Hmm.
he was going to turn up and that you would be the one who had to leave the theater with them. And that's not fair to
Yeah,
your daughter.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that was
yeah,
just one little thing that I was like, okay. But I think overall, Hannah she wasn't a bad kid. She was doing what she got away with as far as being lippy,
yeah.
but she seemed to be good-hearted, and she opened herself up to Isaiah the way a big sister would with
Hmm.
that sort of age gap.
Yeah, yeah. I think I nailed everything with her. I think she definitely just teenage vibes. Like it's definitely. I mean, she's not Emily. Rocky loves Emily, but she's she it tracks. She definitely the only thing I say is I still was kind of confused in what did she really feel about Isaiah. Because at first if you get the early piece, you're like, okay, obviously it's a transition. I don't know this kid. I've been like Mia said, been only child for so long. Then in the middle, you get that connection, blowing bubbles in the bathroom and all this, and then you kind of at the end, you still kind of back at the like he's trying to come back to your room and the door's closed, which I get you probably hurt and like, dang, I got to see him leave. But it kind of was like a roller coaster. But again, her being a teenager, it tracks. So it doesn't really bother me, to be honest. I'm like, as much as I don't necessarily like the ups and downs of it, it doesn't bother me. So, uh, y'all want to get into Eddie and Kyla, Eddie and Kyla, yeah, or y'all want to get into something a little more minor?
Um,
I think Eddie's separately to me. I mean,
I didn't trust him. I didn't trust him from the boogie. I didn't trust him. Um, and I don't think we spent enough time with his character to get a good feel for what his true intentions were. Yeah, he was a little pushy for my liking, a little too familiar. Um, and this could be a bias I have.
Oh.
Not that I don't like Cuba Gooding Jr., because I do, but something about him just rubs me the wrong way sometimes. Just sometimes. And this is one of those times where I'm like,
Is it because of the recent information, or was it always like that?
no, it's just always been like
Like relaxed type thing, like
it's just something. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
something about
something
you,
about you.
something about you. It's
To
like stop it,
Bring it
don't
in, guys.
don't start that.
Focus.
All right.
Uh, but no, I don't know. I just thought he just seemed kind of sleazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of his characters come off that way to me. And maybe it is just how he is. Maybe it is him. I don't know. But I didn't like his character, even when they tried to give him a little bit of a redemption arc. It didn't really hit for me. Mm, mm.
Okay.
Which is why I was really impressed with how Kyla was dubbing him so much in the bit, like when she met him, and I was hoping she would just keep saying but he broke her down a little bit, but she still stood on business when she needed to stand on business,
She did.
and I was happy about that too.
Hmm. Fair enough. Ash, what you got to say about Eddie?
Eddie, giving off kind of sleazeball, like used car salesman type vibes. It's funny, a little charisma to him, of course, flirty. He did try to give him a little redemption, kind of like a supportive type angle. where I think it was either after the court scene or something had happened. He was kind of trying to reassure her, and I think he said something like, "You're not the woman that left him. You're the woman that's fighting for him now," or something he said. So I thought that was cool. Um, you were married, like I said, you just kept popping up, so it was kind of like you said you visiting your brother. Like, bro, I don't know what you got going on, to be honest. But he was giving off a little Jerry Maguire Cuba. I was
You got to relax. Like Jerry
like, a
Maguire
little
Cuba.
bit.
Okay,
But
because
he was top tier.
that Cuba, I didn't even know he had that in him.
Bro, the
He went black,
baldy
the blackity
actually
black.
worked.
He was all the way there. Like
Yeah,
what he was
he
trying to
was
do in
cooked.
Boys in the Hood,
Yeah.
and Jerry Maguire, he got there.
Well, it was
He,
just a small moment, just a moment
yeah,
when
but
he's
I
at the
get you though.
door, and she was like, "I don't like guys that." I forgot what she said,
Yeah,
and then he hit her
Yeah,
back with,
I don't like slick talking, something like that. She said.
"Yeah." But his comeback and then got the kiss off. I was like, "Okay, it's got Jerry a little bit, Jerry Maguire, Cuba." Um, but yeah, that's all I got for Eddie. Yeah, I mean, he needed? Not really, but it's cool for what it was.
Yeah, I loved his character in Jerry Maguire. That's one character of his that I really, really love.
he should have reached in that well a few more times. To be honest.
Pulled that bald head off though. I'm like, that was actually a good look.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah, with the goatee, like he should have reached to that well a few times because I almost
I was
forgot
like,
it's the same Cuba, like with the ugly box cut from Boys in the Hood. I forgot this is the same Cuba. Like,
I gotta pull him up now.
you stupid. While you're doing that, yeah, I like the introduction, him having a smoke and making up this song about concrete. This was genuinely funny to me. Like, I genuinely was laughing because I was like, bruh, because I've been around bros that have done silly things like this, and I ain't gonna say it worked, but it definitely cracked. It cracked the code a little bit. So not funny. That was a genuinely funny moment to me. Then he hooks up, the TV for Kyla's roommates, kids, and she's still dogging him, rightfully so. The kissing scene, I thought this was really magical to me because of the layering of the relationship. How she feels about men, and we kind of get a little bit of her story, like before the drugs and how I got there. So the layering of it to me, like how, because even then, like for her, like being sober and not even really being interested, not only in him, but just men in general. I'm trying to get my son. So the fact that like, and then I think also just like, I'm not even really looking at myself like some beautiful woman. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like I'm fresh off of, I'm really still in recovery. So I don't even look at myself. So it's like this interesting eye to eye contact that I really liked between them two in that kiss. Like I know a lot of people ain't, wouldn't see it that way, but I thought they really nailed that.
But the kiss was whack though. Like,
I didn't think so.
I mean, it was a peck. Like,
Hey, that's a long peck.
you talking about at the door, right? Ain't that the only time they
Yeah,
kissed?
yeah, that's the only
It
time
was
they
like, it was like,
I mean, this is a stranger. Like they're not together, but
Like, don't. First of all, no.
I mean, it was kind of whack. Like,
yeah, I go stop hating what it is, bro.
I,
Y'all gonna
I
have to
was
fall
gonna
back
say,
on my guy. Just playing.
you could tell she ain't had no male attention in a while because girl, it was not giving. Like,
You
no.
call it hill bottom of the barrel now.
hey, lips was closed. You hear me? That wasn't nothing.
I mean, hey, he got to. Hey, look, listen. I know what this home. I know who people that live in this home. I know what that means. So excuse me if I got to be a little bit of, this picture's hilarious, bro. Like, yeah, this is he definitely he would have been in any given Sunday, like.
Baldy a couple things. So
Yeah, now this yeah, I can't wait. I don't. That was almost in our March Madness. I definitely considered Jerry Maguire in our sports movie round.
could have been good.
Yeah, but I had to do that Rocky. Okay. Only thing I got left is Kyla, Margaret, and Charles and Kadar. Where do y'all want to go next? I know y'all might have something different.
You know, I want to get into the meat and potatoes of this thing. I do have something about Kyla. Um, because it's hard to talk about the characters without like it's not that I want to talk about the scene specifically, but there are just like little things about it that I have to bring up. Like the fact that somebody hired Kyla right out of prison to be a nanny for their baby was wild.
She lied on her resume.
Like, what? This
Nuts.
woman is fresh out of the pokey. She is a,
You didn't put this in the bottom of your notes
you
because
right. You right. You
because I
right.
see where you about to go. I see you about to cook because I didn't even think about that. And now that you're saying that, come on, dog. Anyway, go
How?
ahead.
I just want to
But
know
continue if you.
how.
I don't mean to cut you
I
off,
just
but
want to
like
know how.
that's a great point.
And then also, you know what? I'll keep that for the bottom of my nose too. Um want to talk about Margaret.
We can
Yeah,
do both, Margaret and Charles, if y'all
Yeah.
want
yeah. Margaret and Charles. Yeah, let's go for it.
to.
Y'all. Ash, what you got for Margaret and Charles?
So Charles, well, this relationship, first off, was no, it was kind of weird to me on that particular scene where he was trying to get some, I guess, and then she kind of was like not feeling it. Then she goes to work the next day, and it seemed like she was ready to go, and he was like, it was almost like she wanted him to pull up so they can get it cracking. Again, I'm not sure, but were they trying for another baby? Is that what was going on, or like what was that about? Like she just was just like,
You talking about she's called like on some flirtatious type of vibes?
yeah, like, and then the night before he was trying to get some, she wasn't going. I don't know. Maybe I guess it was just I just thought like, but anyway,
Okay.
because the way she was looking at Isaiah, I'm like, were they trying to have another baby or something? Like, but
That's a.
so.
I'd imagine so. I don't know if they were trying to give that, but this couple gives me that because how Isaiah fulfilled a certain
Mhm.
emptiness in a void rather in a relationship. I would
Yeah,
have assumed so, but again, I have no
yeah.
full evidence. But
That's what I was kind of thinking because I'm like the way that just that transition was. I'm like, oh, maybe she, it's time to get it,
I would
But as
assume
far as,
that they were
mm,
kind of old. I would think that they may have tried to have another baby at some point and were unsuccessful,
mm,
um, and have maybe given up. And then
mm.
she saw Isaiah and was like, "Oh, I think we should take him in."
so she was just more on some kink vibes, like trying to
Or
keep it
just
fresh.
trying to make up for last night, I
Yeah, I think
guess.
she just wanted to get with her man, and
That's
he
fine.
had
Yeah,
other things on his mind.
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
because you curved him last. Like I don't. Cool. Remember
Girl,
he was trying
no,
to.
no. I
I gotta.
curved you last night, so now you fool our line around with homegirl?
No,
No.
I'm just saying, like
Nah, I
before
mean,
that was revealed, like
You
I
could
was
still
trying to
no,
get
no,
into
it
it,
wasn't.
maybe.
It was before that. It was early in the movie. It was
I
that was
mean,
like,
I saw it, but
oh,
Margaret didn't
but
know.
nah, Margaret didn't know. I mean, this gives that like, okay, this happens pretty often because I'd imagine if like with Charles, it's like he seems like a real square dude. Like he ain't got it like that. You know what I mean? And so it seems like this is probably a reoccurring thing that happens because I mean she is busy. I don't even know what he does. Well, he works. What he's a foreman at the construction site or something like that.
You're like the boss man.
The
I don't
boss
know.
man. He runs some kind of construction type of situation. He's definitely like boss, whatever. But it seems like she's like really busy and like her work is really stressful. So the stuff probably happens a lot. And so it
Mm.
feels like this is like a reoccurring thing. So he may
What
have a
him
block.
cheating?
No, I don't think so. I think he just kind of got fed up. I think, but I think the reoccurring of being curved at night and like
Oh, okay.
turn around, he probably have obliged to kind of leave early. And I think at that point he's just like, I forget it, bro. Like,
Okay.
Cause we're
Fair
dropped in the
enough.
middle. We're dropped in the middle. Like this movie feel like we're just dropped in the middle, not and we got to put pieces
Hmm.
together. But anyway, continue on.
But he had nice hair though. I like his hair. Um,
Yeah, he was in The
but
Sopranos, I believe, too.
he was supportive, but he was more reserved than Margaret, I would say. Um, he had an emotional attachment to Isaiah, but he wasn't really vocal about it like that. I mean, Isaiah was calling him dad, and I feel like he was just eating it up. You know what I mean? He really had a connection with him. I think he was a more in the moment kind of guy, like, hands on with him versus having to verbally express it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you saw how he said he didn't know he would miss him as much as he did after, he did have to go back with Kyla. Uh, yeah, I mean, that's all I had for Charles. I don't really have too much.
Mm-hmm.
He seemed like he was willing to rock with Margaret, even though she kind of would push the envelope sometimes. And then, I mean, obviously he stepped out on her.
Counseling plans with your wife to cheat is crazy work.
Yeah, like Charles, it's always somebody named Charles. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
Like,
Charles.
them Charleses, bro. I swear, y'all got to do
Yeah,
better.
something. Yeah, well, there's
Do better. I almost
another
said a
name comes
word that we try not to say on this show. I swear, but
there's another name that comes to mind too. That
yes,
every yes, but I'm gonna leave it at that. It's Charles
yeah,
and another name. Every time you meet these people, they're always on something.
I tell you. But so Margaret was a nurse or a social worker. Like, what
Social.
was a social worker? Okay, that's what I
Okay,
thought.
I did not gather that. Okay.
Me neither. I thought she was a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
She was a social worker.
Okay, okay. But yeah, Margaret, she seemed loving and nurturing. She had the deep bond with Isaiah, very protective and determined not to lose him. Of course, she struggled with the understanding of Kyla's perspective and the complexities of that racial identity. Like, again, say out of mind, like, you guys are not around black people. There's no black people eating with you or coming to your home. You're not interacting. I mean, you have the people at the hospital, right? But I mean, that's not like a ongoing thing, like a personal
Mm-hmm.
choice. You just colleagues with these people or being around them. So she didn't understand Kyla's perspective at all. Again, she was more so focusing on the loving part. Like, they took good care of Isaiah. I mean, we got to keep it a bean. You know what I mean? We
Mm-hmm.
can't not acknowledge that, whether she's white or not. Like, the baby was drugged out
Mm-hmm.
and was about to be crushed on the pickup on Thursday. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Like, gotta give her some credit for that. Like, this, nobody. I mean, again, in Kyla's defense, she didn't know. She thought the baby, whatever. She was out of her mind, drugged out. But still, like, the baby was gonna be gone.
Mm-hmm.
And Margaret decided to do what she did. So
Mm-hmm.
again, I think I think she was well intentioned, but just blind to the racial dynamics.
As
Like a lot of
as
people.
they tend to be.
Yeah, that's why I said, like, a lot of them are like, I don't think they all have bad intentions. It's just
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
ignorance or just,
You
you
never
know,
really had to
yeah, like,
study that because it didn't really affect your day to day, really.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's not in your algorithm.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's not,
It's not in your
you
life's
know,
algorithm. Exactly.
yeah. So, but overall, Margaret was pretty cool. She took it very hard when she lost Isaiah, very, very hard. But yeah, that's what I got for Margaret and Charles.
Okay, Mia. Because we could just bounce around it within it because this all like loops into the court stuff as
Hmm.
well.
Yeah,
So
that's where I was going with. I'm like, it all kind of interconnects. So, like, going into the court case, not at the court case, but like the lead up to it. So
receiving the letter.
Kyla finds out that her baby is alive, and this is something that clicked in my head that I hadn't paid attention to in previous watches until you're watching to take notes. And I'm like, okay, when Margaret first sees Isaiah, to even know that his name is Isaiah, they know who his mother is. They find out this baby was born 3 days ago at Cook County Hospital, mother and child both drug addicted. Strike one. That's coming up later in my notes, because what do you mean? You release this drug addicted baby with his drug addicted mother from the hospital and let her take him home? Where was child services when he was born at the hospital, addicted to drugs? But I digress. Then we find out they've allowed him to be adopted without any type of hearing for waiving of parental rights. They haven't, she was in prison, she was reachable. They didn't find her to let her know that her child was up for adoption, which is
It's
how
pretty
we end
sloppy.
up in the situation. Because if you had crossed your I's and dotted your T's, you probably could have gotten him without any legal recourse, because you could prove her unfit. But however, the adoption didn't go through the proper channels, which gave her the opportunity to get herself cleaned up and come back to claim her baby. However, as a woman and as a mother, looking on both sides, the reaction that you see Margaret have when she gets that letter and finds out they about to take her baby is heartbreaking. Because the scene when the social worker comes to take Isaiah away, that was one of the scenes that broke me down. Because as a mom, imagining somebody pulling my screaming child out of my hands and I can't do anything about it, I just have to let them take my baby away. That is one of the most devastating feelings I could ever imagine happening to anybody. Like the fear and the helplessness that she felt, that Isaiah must have felt, it's just like it almost makes you like go into shock, like a speechless fight or flight type of. I'd have probably been swinging on that lady trying to take my baby out of my hands. But yeah, I think going into, you know, how this movie makes you, it makes me question. I've never necessarily, I know people close to me who just are completely against the idea of interracial, transracial adoption altogether. And then I know people who, you know, look at it differently. I've always had mixed feelings about it for a lot of the reasons that are brought up
No
in this
pun
movie.
intended.
It kind of makes you think about those things, because I can really see it.
Both
I can
ways.
really see both sides of the argument here.
It's like half and half.
Yeah, it's a tough, very, very very delicate topic, which is why once we talk about the court case, there are a lot of points that were brought up that make you think,
Yeah. Um. So like kind of same things when they received the letter, but there's a point where Isaiah came out wanting daddy. I was like, oh wow, just a great scene. And then they make an interesting decision. They get a black attorney, and at that, a black woman.
And she clocked it right away too.
Yeah, which I mean, but I thought it was interesting. Again, this is a little heavy-handed, but I thought it was interesting because that's what they're going to do. Like they're trying to get the best fighting chance that they can get to get Isaiah. Like if we come in here with a white a white attorney, we're absolutely going to lose. We need a real fighting chance, and I could appreciate that strategy. To be honest, I was not mad at it. Like they get it, you get it, they're aware, you're aware. But at the end of the day, we're not trying to. It's not really a racial thing, but we understand what the play is going to be. So I appreciated that strategy. I don't look at them funny for hiring a black attorney. Like most people, like, oh, so you look at him pandering, trying to be. No, I think that was they knew because it's like, bro, we care about this child. It just so happens to be black. And going through that as we start kind of leading towards the case, I really respect how like Margaret, how she does not want to lose him. She really loves him, dude. Like she was distraught and broken up. Like the fact that letter came and the fact that she was like, "Oh, we're gonna lose him," and then like, once we get into the, just getting into the court case, like seeing um Kyla for the first time and realizing like she's beautiful, you know,
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Like that whole thing was amazing. So let's talk a little bit about Kyla before we get into it. I just want to, that was kind of the setup. We're kind of setting both stories up as they, coincide together. So the things that I got with Kyla before I pass it your way, of course we know about the beginning part, where well, there's this one part where she was down bad in the beginning. Like this is after thinking that Isaiah was gone. So in the beginning, especially like when she got her groceries at the little convenience store, and she was still high and she was singing. Y'all remember that scene?
Mm-hmm.
She was like, "I'm so excited, I'm so excited." All right, that's anyway. That's Saved by the Bell. That's not what she was singing, but y'all get the reference. But
That
no.
scene takes me out every time. I'm like, oh, Halle Berry is a beast of an actress.
Oh man,
Yeah,
she,
wow.
she was definitely getting her Frankie Lyman on, like to the T. Come on. Um, her learning to read and break it down because of what she did to her baby. That was a deep scene. Like that. What did y'all think about that? Like that scene where she was reading, being rebellious because she didn't want to read, and as she was reading about it, it's just breaking down in tears.
The deep cut,
Yeah.
Mm.
that guilt,
Yeah, yeah.
she feel it. She feels the emotion. She feels it.
Yeah. Because
She had probably been suppressing it for a long time. Like you see, when she was in prison, she said she didn't have any kids. She probably tried her best not to think about it, but reading that made her think about it, and she had
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
to finally confront it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Um, yeah, and that's kind of that's kind of it. I mean, I had a little bit, like I already talked about the interaction, her and Eddie or whatever. But like so just pulling up to the court and the glow up was real, you know. And Kadar kind of told her like, "Hey, yo, you need to lose Eddie. He's still married," which is like a big reveal. Uh, and he basically tells Kadar, just tying it back into this, because I mean we can go into Kadar, I guess, as far as the court thing, but I don't have as much about him in the court case as I do just leading up to it. As far as he's just telling like, bro, this is bigger than Nino Brown. Black babies belong with black moms. These are powerful statements. Uh, and so, uh, where y'all want to go, Ash? Do you want to lead this, or you want me to lead this as we just get into the court case element of this movie? Because that's kind of pretty much the driving force of who's going to
Yeah.
be losing Isaiah.
Well, I want to talk about Kyla a little bit myself, and
Okay.
then Mia can lead us into the courtroom. Um, I think Kyla was very human. She was realistic. I think she was complex but realistic too. Like,
Yeah.
and I think the film did a good job of not idolizing her or demising her.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of showed that she was just a flawed human and she was trying to become a better person so she can be a good mother for her son. Um, it would have been nice to have a little backstory as to how she got on drugs, just
Mm-hmm.
maybe like just a little bit of insight on that. But I think she was very remorseful. Obviously, she carried that heavy guilt. She had to break down learning to read, and that fueled her determination to make amends once she did find out that he was still alive. She was very resilient. She told Margaret, "Hey, man, if you think you're just gonna walk out here with my baby, you got another thing coming." So she's a fighter. She got clean. That also shows the fight in her. And this was even before she knew that Isaiah was alive. So, very complex character.
Mm-hmm.
So, Halle Berry,
Mm-hmm.
she just did her thing. And yeah, and she was independent too. I mean, like I said, whoever hired her to be a babysitter was nuts. But I mean, hey, she got a job and, she was holding down the job and
They
wasn't
was on
doing
that.
well with the job, but
They were on that stuff as well.
as well.
I'm convinced.
Um, so yeah, independent, got her a crib, working her babysitting job with the one baby, uh, taking her all over the city.
What a
But yeah,
contrast, right? Though, with her watching like a white family's white
yeah,
baby. What a contrast.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. Um, and when she was following them with that stroller, I was like, boy, you're getting kind of close. Your tail game is not good. You're all
Hey,
over the family.
yeah, you remember the
But
Metal Gear Solid? You remember that game? You
yes,
remember that sound that like you hear YouTubers use it all the time now, but that like that little alert like sound,
yeah,
bro. In my head watching this movie, I was just thinking like Metal Gear Solid when they be like, "What was that?" It's like because she's way too close. Like you can get so close in the mission before you get alert and you lose. Like I'm sitting there thinking that in my head. Like I'm like, bro,
yeah,
you're doing way too much. You didn't went past them, stopped, tied your shoes, waited to anyway.
yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what I wanted to kind of say about Kyla. And yeah, like Mia, lead us into the courtroom.
Okay. The first thing you notice in the courtroom is how Margaret looks at Kyla. Like she's like, wow, this is not what I was expecting. I was expecting some strung out crackhead, basically.
Yeah,
And Kyla's beautiful. She's cleaned up really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and again, not a bad person, someone who had that struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the interesting thing is that you can tell what I loved about this courtroom scene is they didn't necessarily make the judge seem like she was swaying one way or the other. Both of the attorneys made really good arguments, but you could kind of tell from the line of questioning which way it was going to lean
Mm-hmm.
because it's tough when you see the female attorney who was for the Lewins questioning Kyla about, her ability to care for Isaiah because, who's your support system? Your sponsor, your friend, they're all former drug addicts too, right? So any of you
Mm.
relapse at any moment. And that's tough because while it's true, you're never recovered. You're always in recovery when you're an addict.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's tough because on both sides, they're both fighting so hard for this little boy. So you're gonna have to take them low blows. You have to. You got to fight tooth and nail to do whatever and say whatever you can to win this case. But Kadar, baby, he was not to be played with as an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
He came out there and he said, when they were looking at the apartments, and he said we can get the rest of the money from the fund for children in need or something. She was like, oh, I don't have any children. Oh, you will, because he already knew he wasn't to be played with when it came to this. His questioning was succinct, direct, and it was effective.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that makes you think, because even as sympathetic as you are towards Margaret and Charles, when he starts asking, okay, have you read him any books with Black characters? Have you had dinner with any Black people? Who does he identify with? You know, um, and are you trying to save him? Do you think you're his only hope? You're the only one who can care for him? And it's those things that it's like, on one hand, these are his parents. They raised him, they love him. You see that.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it is very important for this little boy to know who he is. in this world, in the grand scheme of things.
You know,
And I
this
didn't like the way that Margaret talked about Kyla, like in outside of the courtroom, whenever she spoke about her,
yeah.
it was always, she's a drug addict. And she was, but it doesn't leave that room for growth. And she could have been talking out of hurt too.
But you got to think how she found Isaiah.
Yeah.
And it's like,
And
bro,
she don't know it.
I could never not unsee all of the babies in the, the hospital, the land down sleeping, delivered properly. This baby not only has drugs in his system, but I found out where they found him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, bro, I can't shake that. So even though I see you, you do look beautiful, you look cleaned up, I can't forget the origin in which I found him. And so I still classify you that way. And I'm not really looking for your growth because as far as I know, I have protected this child. He would have been into the system, and who knows who would have adopted him with the issues that he had because of your doing. You know what I mean? So
But when you look at the system the way it is, they didn't give any foster care is there for the purposes of eventual reunification.
mm-hmm.
They didn't even give her a chance to say, I want to get clean for my baby. I'm going to do better so that one day I can get my baby. They said, oh, this is our baby now. We're adopting him.
The system didn't do their due diligence. That's true.
Right.
So, and that is not their fault. That's not their fault. They did right by Isaiah.
Mm-hmm.
They did exactly what they thought they were supposed to do. They thought they were doing the right thing. However, there's two sides to this coin, and you did not necessarily have the right to adopt this baby. And that's what we're grappling with now.
It
Well,
is
that's from the system, though. Like, I mean,
As a social worker, though, she should have known better.
that's where it kind of is like a tricky part. Where is this a plot? Is this a flawed plot device? Because you've dealt with so many kids and children and parents, and all of a sudden, this kid is the kid that you want to kind of suspend protocol for the sake of what? Because you know what I mean? Like you felt sorry for this kid, but you always probably feel sorry for kids in that line of business. I don't know. Interesting part when you bring up. See, I watched this with the lens thinking I did not realize she was a social worker. So it did that. All of that changes my kind of view of because I'm looking at her like she's a doctor or a nurse. So I really probably got to watch this movie again with that lens because I did not look at her like that. So with that being said, it kind of does it'll tie back in, it'll tie into a later part of my notes now that y'all bring that part up. But what was you gonna say, Ash? Getting into as we get we're now in the thick of things of the court case.
um, yeah, I mean, I think it was a good scene, and I think both. It's funny because that's Samuel's wife on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
that's
married. Every time I see her, I'm like, I can't believe she's married.
I know.
Because I just think about her in Fighting Temptations. I'm
Temptations,
like,
exactly.
they're married. It's crazy, but
Another Cuba
shout out
movie.
to her. Yeah.
yeah.
So maybe they met here and kind of kicked it off. No, but yeah, I mean, Mia touched on it beautifully. I mean, both arguments were really, really good. I will say there was one. I wish I had the quote. I think it was one of the experts, Dr. Goldstein or something. That lady.
She was an adoption expert.
She said something that was the realest thing you ever wrote. When she was like, I'm serious, like it was in favor of like she said it makes her, I don't know, maybe I could look it up, but she's
I
like,
had it
you
in
know
my
what I'm
notes.
talking about? It's
Mhm.
so good. Say it, man, if you got it.
I don't have the exact quote, but she said, it makes me angry when we think that taking a Black kid and putting him in an affluent home is the best thing for him when
So good.
Black children statistically do better with Black families.
And she was like, what kind of value is that instilling?
Yeah,
Like,
what kind
oh
of
my
value?
gosh, I was like, she the realest one. Like, she needed an award for that because that
I
was
think she
so,
was the decision maker. She was the one that swayed the
yeah.
judge.
But she said it so elegantly too. It was just like it was so good. Like, what kind of message are we sending here? Right. Again, we know Kyla had her flaws, but I just really wanted to point that part out in the court scene. Like what she said probably was the decision maker, but it was so, it touched me. I'm like, wow, like, and she's white. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it felt good to really hear that perspective. But just can't deny the fact that Margaret was so emotional. Like, again, they raised him, he had drugs in the system. Just again, like where he came from to where he was. I mean, it was a tough decision. I mean, should it just come down to race? But again, if they were going to raise Isaiah and like if he was going to stay with them, y'all have to get involved. He is a black child, so like Mia said earlier, he needs to be around people that looks like him. There needs to be that diversity. He needs to understand and learn more about where he comes from and just the community that is being black and what he will go through. But again, they weren't aware, they were unknown, they didn't know. And luckily he was so young, so I mean you have time to kind of be more aware and read books or ask questions, reach out, follow groups, whatever you can to ensure that you're giving Isaiah the best chance possible. But yeah, the court scene was the best scene in the movie.
Yeah,
um
absolutely.
Definitely, I was like, okay, now we cooking with grease
Yeah, we
for
definitely
sure.
cooking now. There is to kind of just point something out that I really liked. You know, Kadar's going hard. Like, have you read this? You know, he already broke the husband. He's done. He's cooked. He got him up out of there. He already knew what kind of environment he was about to create. He dropped the bomb when he basically told Margaret right there that he's cheating or that he having an affair. Blew the spot up like real quick. Hey, this is light work. I do this. Like, listen to me. Listen, I do this.
Behind her.
Yeah, like, oh, but anyways, like, bro, like he did this on some like matter of fact. Like that was menacing. But like there's this moment where he's going in and they've been hyper focused on color. Have you ate with black people? Have you read black books? Whatever. And Margaret makes this great argument after Lewis, he puts hyper focus on color. She says, "What about love? Or does that not fit into your agenda of white and black?" This is one of those most interesting things because it makes you wonder that people that are like white that watch this film, how much do they connect with the Margaret character and how much they may have been educated just kind of watching this. I'm not saying this film is the most educational racial depiction because it's not. There's some. I mean, I still don't. Again, y'all know I don't think she should have got him back. But I wonder how much people might that are not black may have felt the same way Margaret did in the sense, not the love part, but in the sense that they was like, I don't have really a lot of black friends either, or I haven't really hung out and ate dinner with black people. I never even thought about buying a black Barbie doll. It didn't even cross my mind. Like it makes you wonder. It really does. Like genuinely wonder. Like I don't have any white buddies at this point, but if I did, I would definitely say watch this movie. I want to see, just kind of get your take on it. Because it's a very interesting angle. And then of course we get that scene where they're outside smoking a cigarette, uh, and amazing scene. There's words that wanted to be said but couldn't because to be honest, they both understood where each other was coming from. Margaret was enlightened in the fact that like, wow, I didn't see this as a big deal about all these black references that play a part in Isaiah's identity. But then on his end, he's like, I never did bring up the fact that maybe they actually do love him. This is deeper than rap, So but they couldn't say the words because we in the trenches right now, and that's a brilliant scene right there. And it's raining outside. So I just want to acknowledge that. I don't remember who was speaking, but that was just something that I thought was like a really brilliant part of this film.
Yeah, it's rough because I think while I do love the point that she was making, I think that kind of skirts the accountability off of Margaret to realize, hey, you know what? You're right. You're right. I should have done better with introducing my child to things that are of his culture. But I suppose in the moment, she's not trying to hear that. She doesn't care.
No, not at all.
But, you know, in the eyes of the law, the system, these things are important. But I do want to briefly talk about the aftermath of the court case leading up until the ending that I love, and the implications of putting, you know, snatching him out of this home that he's been in since he was 3 days, you know, an infant, and placing him in a completely different environment with Kyla. So we see them, you know, we see Margaret go and she tells Isaiah, who's much too young to understand, you know, you're going to Kyla's. Remember, I told you about her. He's like, yeah, and then I'm coming back. And she's like, no, but she's trying to get him to understand it. He's too little, you know, he's two. And the social worker comes in and she pries Isaiah out of Margaret's arms in a scene that just really guts me. And he cries in the car until he cries himself to sleep so bad that by the time he wakes up, it's nighttime and he's in a completely strange environment.
Oh man,
And the
that's crazy.
trauma that must have put on this little boy is like, can you imagine? Oh,
Yeah,
listen,
yeah.
I used to be traumatized. If I fall asleep in the car and I wake up at my auntie house and my mama's not there, my daddy's not there, and I'm like, wait a
Mm-hmm.
minute, when did y'all drop me off?
Y'all
So,
left me.
you
Right.
know,
Yeah.
so, and I think that Kyla underestimated how difficult it would be for him to reacclimate to this new situation. Like he's still little, but he's not a baby anymore.
Yeah.
He knows who has raised him, you know? And we see that he's just not doing well. He's not doing well. Margaret's not doing well. And the reason why I love the ending so much is because I think in the grand scheme of things, if the court really had the best interest of that child in mind, they could have started off with visitation
Yeah.
in the first place
Yep.
and then maybe had a plan
Yep.
to remove him without it being traumatic like that.
Mm-hmm. I like the points you made. I did like the argument.
Your point when you say that she didn't deserve him,
Mm-hmm.
I agree in the sense that she didn't deserve to just have him like out.
Snatched away. Like, all
It
right.
should have made her go through, you know, steps to like within visitation and see, you know, maybe some spend a nights, and then maybe she could have gotten there, but just to rip him away was cold.
Yeah. I just think that she she had every right to like be in his life, even as high as like joint custody of some sort.
Yeah.
But I her to have him overall, even if they had a plan to me, I just never I never see that because like again, you were in a tough time, you were in a tough spot, and you know you made some decisions based on whatever, however you got there that we didn't get backstory. But for me, it's like no, bro, like I have things in me now. If I'm Isaiah, that will affect me for the rest of my life. Nah, bro. So that's just me. Like it's not that you don't deserve another chance, but you shouldn't, in my opinion, you shouldn't get the right of guardianship because you were the guardian, and we see where that landed. Now, could you change? Yes. Could you grow? Yes. But you didn't make just like a small mistake to bounce back from. This is a huge mistake that was life or death. It's like, nah, bro, we can't even do that. Nope. But that's just my opinion. You know, obviously this movie and the ending felt different about it, and you know they wrote it in a way where you know it's a great redemption story for Kyla. Ash, any last final thoughts that you want to say about anything about this film, the scene, anything that you want to lay out on the table before we get to the rest of our segments?
Um, I think they were holding the baby too much. He was never walking really. They every time you look, and this
Is
is
it
not in that section down
okay?
there. This
Okay,
is
I was
not
just
that.
about to
But I
ask.
had
Okay,
to say this,
all
bro.
right.
Let him walk. Every
Yeah,
time you turn around, he's in somebody's arms, bro. He gotta walk.
yeah.
Like I was like, if they don't put this baby down. But other than that, that's all I got to add.
I like that. I like that. Mia, any last final thoughts before we get into our next segment that you want to spew out?
Yes. I just want to say I appreciate them giving the moment for Kyla to not only for her to call Margaret and tell her to come to the school and tell her like, listen, I just want you to go in there and hold him until he's not scared anymore. And I'm not giving him back to you, but he's gonna come live with you until he can understand. And I think that the moment, another moment that you know did it when they hug each other, just mom to mom, as two women who love this little boy and want what's best for him, and they see each other no longer as the enemy, but just as, two moms who want to do what's best for Isaiah.
Mm-hmm.
And then Isaiah sitting on the floor with both of them playing, and she's making it a point to say, "Hey, which one is Kyla's house?" And he's like, "This one." And then you see, okay, it's gonna be all right. They found outside of the court system a way for them as a family to move forward. And that is all you can ask for, the best outcome you can ask for in a situation like this.
Mm-hmm.
And that, that's where I leave it as far as the movie.
Okay. I don't have anything else to add to it. All right, so moving through, character you relate to or identify with the most. Ash Bash, who is that character for you in this movie?
Nobody. I didn't find myself in any of these characters.
Nobody. Wow. Mia.
This is gonna seem a little left field. Walk with me.
Okay.
Okay.
Here we go.
So
Here we
walk with
go.
I found myself relating to Hannah actually.
Okay.
So I am, you know, you guys as siblings, same mom, same dad. Beautiful. I love that for you. I have a bit of a different experience on my end where my older sister is my mom's child from her first marriage, and then my parents had me. And then my dad, then they split up and my dad got remarried, and I have three little sisters.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the oldest of my little sisters by like a lot. So my first my first little sister is 10 years younger than me, then 12 years younger than me, then 17 years younger than me. So when I was growing up, there were moments when I felt, a little left by the wayside in the dynamic of, there are these new babies and new kids, and they get more attention or things that I didn't get. But I love them to death. Like those are my kids.
Yeah.
Um, we tight like this. But growing up, there were moments where I felt I could feel that, like, I love my baby sister, but you know, I'm still here. I'm still here. You know,
Hey, I feel it. What was that song again?
Tisha Campbell.
Oh wow.
I'm
Oh
gonna have
yeah,
to
yeah,
send
yeah,
you
yeah.
the
Okay, I remember
YouTube
that.
video
Now
of
I
her.
know that. I remember that song. Yeah. Okay. Um, for me, character I relate to, identify with the most would be Isaiah. When I was a kid, I was really clingy to my mom, and I definitely wouldn't chill out until I was restored back to her. And he definitely had that. He definitely was crashing out as a little boy when he was with Kyla in that restaurant. And even with my dad, I was like that for a moment, and that struggle. That was a little bit of a struggle for a moment, and you try to get over like this feeling of loneliness, and I kind of related to that in a sense. Like I remember certain moments, like when parents separate or divorce or whatever it is, it could get sticky.
Mm.
It could get sticky, and you coming with me, you gonna stay over here, you gonna stay over there. It gets sticky, and it's the total 180. So Isaiah is the character I relate to or I identify with the most. Ash, get the stepping. Character you could do without.
Um, everybody kind of fit their part and their roles. Like I said, if I had to pick somebody, it'd probably be Cuba, just because he didn't really. He wasn't a make or break character or anything. Like he- we could have did without him and still been the same movie to me. Um, so if I had to pick, I'd probably say him. But if not, I'm cool with everybody that kind of did their thing in here.
Mm. Me and G.
Yeah, I said Eddie. Eddie Hughes, Cuba's character, he could go for me. I didn't need it. I think her relationship with those other kids and her sponsor, etc., were good enough for me to see her as a full-rounded character. I didn't need the love interest
Mm.
aspect of it all. She had other stuff to worry about.
Yeah, I can see that. I almost went with the little boy from across the way, but I gotta go Hannah. Even though I'm not mad that she's in it, I'm not mad at all. Like it doesn't. It's not like this crazy. Like, but the reason I say this is because she doesn't really add nor take away anything. In this film for real, like they were trying to create another dimension, to the Lewins, but it really wasn't needed. I think if they had had if they had had a problem trying to conceive and then of course this is a typical trope we see all the time, but had trouble trying to conceive and then Isaiah comes along, I think it creates higher stakes. And then I also think that the timeline in which why Charles cheated makes more sense. Maybe he's thinking like, I really want a kid. Maybe I'm really, that frustration builds, and he's over here making dumb decisions. So I think that Hannah it's a good character to have, but I think she could get the step, and I think the stakes would be much higher if she wasn't there, and they didn't have a child either. So that's just me, just kind of rewriting in a sense. But I'm not mad that she's there. Like she doesn't. I'm not annoyed by her at all. Like I'm not mad at the character. Favorite song in a movie? It's not the type of movie. Things you would change about the movie or what they didn't get right. Ash.
I do have a favorite song. I have that baby song by TLC they were playing when Kyla moved into the crib that was playing in the background.
Mm.
Baby, baby, baby.
Oh,
Yeah.
we love
Uh,
that. We love
yeah. I was like, oh,
that.
I had to put that down. That's
yeah,
Bob.
we
So
yeah we love that. Um,
yes.
what?
Things they didn't get right or yeah. So the transition of Isaiah going from the Lewins to Kyla, I didn't like that. What was he, 3 or
Two,
is it
about 2.5.
he was yeah, like there was no grace period. Like you go to the courthouse, the judge makes the decision and then he's with Kyla. So that whole transition was terrible. And I agree with Mia. I was thinking it the whole time of like, okay, well, let's start with some visitation. Like let's you come over to the house, like play with his toys, like he doesn't even know you. The transition was terrible. I don't care that the judge granted you custody. Like, no, you don't know him. Like, yeah, you birthed him, but that's it. So that was terrible. Um, the kids letting in a stranger being Cuba was nuts. as well. Like, come on now. Like that was ridiculous. Oh, he had food. I don't care. This man.
That's
I mean,
crazy.
come on. So that was nuts to me as well. And they switched the baby out a little bit in the beginning, quite a
Okay.
bit. I was like, all
I
right, come on.
definitely I definitely have
Like
this.
the baby had the Kobe fro.
Uh-huh.
Then when Margaret took him home, he was bald. Like, y'all done switched the baby about 2, 3 times out the gate. And so I think like
Can we
it's
get a
an
baby
infant
on set
baby.
today? Just a black baby.
Yes. We have an infant black child. Leave the child. Like y'all just switched the baby. Maybe the parent was like, hey, we got to get up out of here. I don't know. I definitely caught the switches, the 3 switches.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Sprinkle some crack on.
but
See,
that's
I
all
never
I
know.
had. Yeah, that's all I had.
All right, Mia G.
So, like I said before, really, I don't think it's realistic that a former drug addict fresh out of jail would get a nannying job with no prior experience. That just doesn't track to me. It would have made more sense if she was working in a boutique or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I guess they needed a plot device to make her have to be at the park to run into Isaiah. Maybe that's why they had her watching the kid, but she could have taken them other kids to the park. I don't know. It just seemed like unrealistic to me that is the job that she would get right out of prison. Uh,
Mhm.
They
I
could have
know
had her landscaping, like she could have been trimming bushes. They could have had her on probation, getting up litter.
could have had her doing
Mm-hmm.
any host of things
Mm-hmm.
other than staying in somebody's house watching a baby all day.
Mm-hmm.
When everybody, come on, don't even get me
Oh,
started.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Um, I I wanted to say the whole, oh yeah, it doesn't make sense that they would release a baby to a mother when both mother and baby test positive for drugs out of the hospital. They likely would have taken him at birth and released him into foster care, medical foster
All
care.
right, she should even had him from the gate when he
Yeah,
was delivered.
if they say that he was born 3 days ago, both mother and child addicted, they would have never have just released him to her care. So
That's
that
true.
in itself kind of just was like, well, how did we even what? How
Mhm.
do we even get to the point where she's out here with I'm thinking she gave birth at home and
Like yeah,
just
at the trap house or something.
yeah, like she just popped him out. But she
Mm-hmm.
had him at the hospital and they released him to her without a car seat, without a home to go to. That's unrealistic. That would never happen in real life.
Yeah, that was wild as you put it that way. I got the same thing I asked as far as the switching out the babies or whatever. It's very clear. So the only other thing I got is this movie should have been 15 minutes longer to tie up more loose ends with Eddie, Charles, and Margaret's relationship. The other little boy, even Kadar Lewis, her attorney. This movie is straight through. It really is. But they set up things and then we didn't get anywhere that almost serve as filler. Like we really could have used. Okay, what happened with Eddie? We just get the. I got the divorce papers. I filed for divorce. Okay, cool, but nothing. We don't know. Does she rock with you or not? We just get a smirk. Kadar Lewis, we would like to see his reaction of like at least he has some slight resentment. Like okay, maybe this may or may not have been the right decision, but it is what it is. Charles and Margaret, like we get that he cheated, but we kind of just get left like again, I'm not saying we need these things, but we got a lot of filler setups and nothing. We don't get any conclusions. And these movies that came out in this era, we normally conclude. But so that's me. Just the movie need to be 15 minutes longer to wrap it up. Even if they did the classic BT and I'm hopeful, yes I am
With
hopeful
the
for
words with
today. Yeah, give us that. That's fine. I'll live with that. I'll take that cheap ending. And Kyla to this day has been sober. But, give me all that. So, but um, yeah, that's all I got. Ash, more of the story, in your opinion.
Do what is best for the child.
That's one of the things
That's
I
it.
have.
That's all.
That's one of the things I have. That's ironic. Mia G.
Oh man, this was tough. I didn't really have anything written down because I didn't know.
You didn't
I
know the
feel
moral
like
story.
I really like because I feel like there's so many things. And again, like I told you, it made me question myself. So I don't know if I feel like love conquers all or if I think that it's better to have black kids with black parents. I don't know.
Mhm.
So I will say I think Ash had the best idea that I could think of and do what's in the best interest of the child, whatever that may be, because I think it's really on a case by case basis.
Mhm. Yeah. And that was one of the things I
Facts.
had. What Ash had as far as do what's best for the child. And the other thing is, ironically, Mia was alluding to. I got the world is bigger than black or white. We get caught up in our bubbles and how we see things, our outlooks, and our experiences and our ancestors. But the world is bigger than black and white, and it's love that surpasses our differences. Like when love is there, you will see your fellow man, woman as a human being, where the color is not mattering. This person's hurting and they're going through something. It may look a little different because of our ethnicity, because of our culture, because of where we come from, but at the core of it, we hurt the same. We cry, we laugh, we get depressed, we get joy. So it's the world is bigger than black and white, and I always go back to that Margaret statement. What about love? You know what I mean? Like that was just like a mic drop for me. Even though she didn't win the case, that was a pivotal thought that I think was a lingering concept for Kyla down the road. So the world is bigger than black and white. And that is our episode. But before we get out of here, we have to give y'all the preview to our next episode. And it's Ash's turn in the rotation, and we're going to leave y'all with some announcements at the end of this episode. And also, when we get off here, I got to ask y'all something real quick. So, without further ado, we do not know, me or Mia does not know what movie Ash picks next. We never know what each other picks. But in this Mother May I month, Ash, what you got?
Well, I tried my best to think of something new. I tried to think outside the box, but it's my box and I want to stay in it. Um, so I got to stay true to me, and I picked something that I enjoyed to watch. I still watch it till this day. So I have chosen our first, hopefully not the last, J-Lo movie, the 2002 movie, Enough.
Oh wow! Oh man, look, me already got notes. Look, we've talked about this too. I got to see if I can find my notes. I gotta. Okay. How did you pick this movie?
I like this movie a lot, and she was going hard for her daughter. She went through a lot, and I like J Lo's movies. Like, I think she's a good actress. I watch this movie all the time. Like, if I see it on Netflix, I'll click on it. It's on TV. I watch it. Like, that's how I know I like it. Like, every time I see it anywhere, I'm going to watch it. And it's one of my
Nah, nothing
one of
wrong
my
with that.
go-tos. I mean, Mother May I? Why not?
Mo, I see it in your face and I just don't start.
Oh, he gonna try to ruin this experience for us,
I'm
man.
on my John
Don't.
Cena. I'm about to ruin wrestling. No.
Anyways, thank you, Ash,
You're
because
Yes.
welcome.
this is
Yes.
another one of me and Mama C's faves.
Mm.
Gonna be really excited about this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm excited about y'all excitement.
All right now.
All right, now. So is it our next episode? Is next week's Mother's Day?
Next week is Mother's Day.
Okay.
Yes.
So listeners, here's how it's gonna work. There will not be an episode next week. Be with your mothers or be with your mother figures, or be with the mother of your child, but be somewhere connected to some mothers next week. But there will not be an episode. So y'all can run back one of our old ones if y'all ain't caught up. Y'all can definitely do that. And then the following week we will be reviewing this. So Y'all stay tuned. And then after that, we'll be doing our TGIF. That'll conclude our Mother May I month. And I got a concept for it that I'm going to talk to my two co-hosts about once we get off air. But we thank y'all for tuning in. Truly, it's getting close to the summertime. We're going to be hanging out all the time. Maybe we got something special for y'all Stoop kids, hanging out. That school will be out, but we ain't there yet. So we got to get back in because we still got to go to school, hit them books, and get up out of here. So thank y'all for tuning in. ChildishGrownups3@gmail.com. Peace out.